Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're tackling, well, a really fierce debate. Is generative AI art genuine creative inspiration, or is it just high-tech theft?
It's a huge question. And to really get into it, you have to look under the hood, right?
Huh.
At the engine and the fuel powering this tech.
Okay, let's start with the engine then. A lot of people think these AI models are just sophisticated collaging tools, basically cutting and pasting existing art.
Right, that's the common misconception. But technically, models like diffusion models, they work very differently. They don't start with pieces of images. They actually start with pure noise, like random static.
Static. So how does it go from pure chaos to, a coherent picture?
Well, it refines that noise step by step, and it uses the text prompt, what the user types in as a guide. This all happens in something called latent space.
Latent space.
Okay.
What exactly is that?
Think of it as a high-dimensional map of concepts. The model learns the idea of a dog or the style of Van Gogh in this space, not just pixel patterns. It learns the sort of underlying grammar.
So it's more like synthesis, building something new based on learned concepts rather than just sticking bits together.
Exactly. It's transforming that noise, guided by concepts.
Hmm.
That's why the developers argue it's learning, not copying. It's a transformation process.
Okay, but that engine needs fuel, massive amounts of fuel, which is the data. And this seems to be where the big ethical questions really kick in.
Absolutely. We're talking data sets like LAION 5B. That's 5.85 billion image text pairs. Billion.
Wow. And where does all that data come from?
It's scraped automatically from the internet
Hmm.
using tools like Common Crawl, just pulling down whatever's publicly accessible.
And there's a crucial legal detail in how they share this data, isn't there?
Yes, very important. LAIN, for instance, they distribute only the URLs, the web addresses pointing to the images, not the image files themselves.
Ah, so they aren't actually distributing the copyrighted images directly.
Precisely. It means the act of making a copy, which is central to copyright law, is essentially pushed on to the people or companies who then download those images to train their models. It's a clever liability shield for the dataset creators.
Clever, maybe, but that scraping process, it just grabs everything, right? Without asking.
Everything, and that's the ethical cost. These datasets inevitably sweep up vast amounts of copyrighted work, private photos, sensitive information.
And didn't Stanford find something truly alarming in the LAION data set?
They did. The Stanford Internet Observatory found over 3,000 suspected links connected to child sexual abuse material.
CSAM. It was so serious. LAION had to take the data sets offline temporarily.
That's horrifying. It really shows a lack of oversight in just chasing scale, chasing more and more data.
It really does. And the impact on artists, well, it's not theoretical. There was a study on stock photo sites.
Right, I saw that. What did it find?
A massive flood of AI images hit the platform, uploads jumped by 78% almost instantly. And guess what happened to human artist sales?
They dropped significantly,
Yeah.
which really backs up the artist's argument that these AI images are directly replacing their work in the market. Market substitution.
Okay, so that's clear economic harm. But isn't there some evidence that people, well, that they value human-made art more?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. Columbia Business School did a study. They showed people identical pieces of art. Some were labeled AI generated, others weren't.
And the result?
People valued the art labeled AI generated 62% less. 62%.
Wow, that's a huge difference. So there's a real authenticity premium for human creators.
Absolutely. It gives human artists a strong market angle. Brand yourself as authentic as human.
But that premium feels fragile, which might be why artists are turning to tech defenses like this nightshade tool, the poison pill.
Right, Nightshade from the University of Chicago. It's an offensive approach. It subtly alters pixels in an image before it might get scraped.
How does that poison the AI model?
The alterations are tiny, invisible to us. But if a model trains on enough poisoned images, say, images of dogs altered by Nightshade, it might start learning that dogs have, I don't know, cat-like features. It messes up the model's conceptual understanding.
So it corrupts the training data, making the model less reliable, maybe even useless for certain concepts.
Exactly. The goal is to make scraping unlicensed images just too expensive and damaging for the AI companies, to force them to license data instead.
It's like digital self-defense. So looking at the big picture, people often compare this to photography arriving and changing painting.
The idea that photography freed painting from realism. There's a parallel, sure. But the key difference today, I think, is less about the tech itself and more about the business model. This model built on taking vast amounts of work without compensation.
Yeah, the locus of control and value feels different. It's about appropriation.
It really is. So the path forward seems to need a new deal, a new economic contract. We need to get past these often ineffective opt-out systems.
Which leads to the big question for you listening right now. How do we ensure value flows back to the creators? Is the answer in code, like Nightshade? Or do we need stronger legal frameworks, mandatory licensing, maybe?
Or perhaps a fundamental shift to requiring explicit opt-in consent before any work can be used for training, finding the right mix of code, contract, and law. That's what will determine if this technology evolves from feeling like theft to becoming a tool for genuinely compensated inspiration.